Hello and welcome to our today's webinar. Thank you for joining us to discover what is new in oXygen XML Editor version 17. My name is George Bina. I'm one of the founders of Syncrosoft, the company that develops oXygen XML Editor. This is the first webinar in a series of 6 webinars dedicated to oXygen 17, scheduled each Wednesday at the same time as this one during the following weeks. In today's webinar, I will try to give you an overview of version 17 new additions, and the following webinars will focus on specific functionality, each being presented by our developers that were directly involved in developing that functionality. Version 17 is a major upgrade, and therefore it comes with a huge number of new additions. I counted more than 80 features presented in the release notes on our website. Here on the what's new in oXygen XML Editor, you have the release notes. But I will try to summarize them, maybe going into some of the stories behind those features so you can understand why we added them and how they can help you. Before we start, here it is some useful information. The most frequent question during a webinar is whether the webinar will be recorded and made available afterwards. And the answer is yes. We record this webinar and we will make the recording available on our website. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the questions panel in the GoToWebinar interface to send them to us. There is no need to wait until the end of the webinar to ask questions, because some of my colleagues are also online and they will be able to answer your questions as we go. At the end of the webinar, we have also a dedicated Q&A section. And if you use Twitter, you can mark your webinar-related messages with the oXygen XML hashtag, so we can easily spot them, and that is also another channel that you can use to ask questions, because we will monitor this hash oXygen XML hashtag also on Twitter. So let's get started. One of the version 17 highlights is represented by the quick fix improvements. Quick fixes are actions that are offered to the user as possible solutions to a reported problem. Maybe we can switch to oXygen at this point. So if to easily understand this, imagine a spell checking error like this one. You are notified that a word is not found in the dictionary, and that represents the error. But you also expect to be able to select a correct word to fix that problem from a list of words that are similar to the misspelled word. Right? So these are the quick fixes. So you are presented with one or more words that will replace the misspelled word in order to fix the problem. So we can select one word and we have that problem fixed. So in the same way, for XML errors, we can identify in some cases one or more reasonable solutions to fix those errors and present them to the user. We already implemented such a mechanism in previous versions of oXygen, in version 16, for XSLT to help you while you develop XSLT style sheets, and for XML documents validated against XML schema, and also some quick fixes for AND scripts. In version 17, we extended this support to cover XML documents validated with relaxing G schemas and with Schematron schemas. So let's see a quick fix in a Dogbook 5 document that uses RelaxNG for validation. So here we have a Dogbook 5 document, and I added here an attribute test that is not actually defined by the schema, and we can see the error message that says attribute test is not allowed here, and then a number of expected attributes that can be present. And you can also notice this quick fix icon, this light bulb, that if you press on this, then you are offered with this remove attribute test action that removes that attribute. Of course, these are available also in the visual editing mode. This is an empty section, and there is some required content for this section. So if we click on this, we are offered with one of the elements that is required to be inserted in this position. So we can say insert element title, for instance, and then a title element is inserted. And after that, Dogbook 5 also requires some additional content, so we can also choose to insert a paragraph, for instance, and now we fixed this all the errors in this document. One of the important use cases that we try to enable with oXygen is guided XML authoring to assist authors while they create XML content, guiding them along the way. And the core component to make that possible is to be able to communicate to the user whenever there is a need to correct the user and put him back on the right track. We enable that through Schematron, where the error messages are written in the Schematron schemas. Schematron enables this communication, but unfortunately that ends there. It only transmits a message to the user, which may contain also some hints on how to solve that problem. To improve this, oXygen version 17 adds Schematron quick fixes support. So the user is not only provided with advice on how to manually modify the document to get it back on the correct path, but he receives also a set of possible actions defined by the Schematron developer that will fix the reported issue. This saves time, the fix is automatic rather than manual, and avoids also possible mistakes the user may make while trying to manually fix the problem. Schematron quick fixes was SQF was initiated by Nico Kucherauer from Data to Type, and it is developed now under a W3C community group called Quick Fix for XML. If we go to oXygen again, I have a DITA topic here, and if we look here, it has a type attribute equals other, and in this case, if the type is other, then we require to have also another type attribute set for this node. So the type attribute for node can have a list of values, but if you specify other, then you need to specify also what is that other type. So if we trigger this quick fix, that will propose us to add the other type attribute to the current element. And if we trigger this, then let's say we put the value hint, say OK, and then you see also that that attribute is added, and also the rendering of the topic is changes to show the type of the node as a label before the actual content. And Schematron quick fixes are really helpful. Here it is a message I noticed yesterday on the TI list text encoding initiative that shows how useful this functionality is. So you can see that there are some fixes for editing that took around a minute to fix each problem, right? So 1 minute of manual work that may introduce errors is reduced to just triggering the quick fix action. So Schematron quick fixes are really useful if you take advantage of this functionality. Also part of this idea of promoting automatic fixes over manual fixes, so as part of this idea, we added in version 17 autocorrect support. This will automatically correct common typing mistakes like correcting TH to D. This functionality is also XML aware, so it will automatically switch to the right set of corrections based on the document language for that specific element that contains the XML lang attribute. And it will also ignore the elements defined as ignorable by the spell checking options to avoid applying these corrections, for example, in code blocks where they may not make much sense. So if we go back to oXygen, we can see here if we type TEH and then space, this is automatically corrected to D. And an interesting use case for the autocorrect support is to easily insert symbols like the copyright symbol, right? So if we just say open parentheses, C, close parentheses, and press space, we get the copyright symbol. So we'll cover the quick fixes in more details in a webinar scheduled for May 27th called oXygen XML Editor 17 XML quick fixes. So you are welcome to join us then and find more about quick fixes, how you can actually specify them within Schematron if we are talking about Schematron quick fixes and so on. So let's move on to another interesting addition in version 17, XML refactoring. When you identify an issue in a document and you want to fix that problem, it is always a good idea to see if the same problem appears in other documents. And sometimes you may find that you need to fix maybe thousands of documents depending on your project. Also, document structures may evolve in time, and you need to update existing documents to match those schema updates. When I need to change XML documents, XSLT is the easiest way to code those changes, for me at least. Others may prefer XQuery or some other languages. However, XSLT and XQuery were developed exactly with processing XML documents as their main use case. So they are very well fit for that purpose. So you may ask, where is the problem then? Well, the problem is that I also want my documents to stay as much as possible in the same form, in the same format. So if I'm renaming an element, I do not want attributes order to change, and if the documents refer to DTDs, I do not want those doc type declarations. I want those doc type declarations to stay the same, so I don't want them to disappear or change. This information like attributes order, doc type declaration, entity information is not available to XSLT and XQuery processing. So it cannot be preserved during a normal transformation. And the other problem is that setting up the execution of those of XSLT or XQuery transformations requires some additional work, maybe getting the results into a temporary folder and then overwriting the original files with the result of processing. So we addressed all these issues in version 17, offering a safe way to execute XQuery update. And in the next release, we plan to support also XSLT over a set of files while preserving the doc type declaration, attributes order, and so on. These refactoring scripts are packaged as refactoring operations by providing a descriptor file that gives information about the parameters these scripts have. When oXygen makes these operations available to users, it makes it very easy to invoke them just by setting values for those parameters and selecting the refactoring scope, that is the set of files that will be processed by the refactoring operation. We also offer a preview option, so you can double check all the changes that are about to be performed. So please know that XQuery and in the future XSLT knowledge is not required to run the operation. It is required only to define the refactoring operations, but using them is made really easy for non-technical users. As I mentioned, they just select a refactoring operation and set values to its parameters. So let me switch back to oXygen. Let's close these files. And let's say we select the samples folder from the project, and from the contextual menu we have refactoring, XML refactoring. And here we see the default operations that come with the oXygen 17. As I mentioned, you can also add your own XQuery update scripts and define your own operations. So let's choose, for instance, rename element. Then we choose, for instance, to rename P elements to code block. So we have the target elements as an XPath expression. So you can select also with more specific elements, and then provide a new local name. And when you click next, you have the scope where you can define the set of resources that this refactoring action will be applied on. And by default, it's because I invoked the action from the project contextual menu from a selection in the project, the selected project resources is automatically selected. And then you can hit preview and you will see all the changes that will be performed by this operation. So you can review all the changes that will be performed. And you can also exclude some of these files if you want to. You can go through each change and so on. And when you click finish, that change will be actually applied on all the files. So I'll cancel that for now. So we will cover XML refactoring also in full details in a webinar scheduled for June 3rd called oXygen XML Editor 17 Refactoring XML Documents. Again, you can find all these upcoming events on our website. If you go to company events program, you find there all these upcoming webinars if you want to register to them. So let's move on to another interesting improvement in version 17. Along with the technology additions, a special focus of version 17 was on the user interface and flexibility. Like if you have a car and you want that to be functional, you also will love it if it also has a great design. So we want you to enjoy working in oXygen. If you use Retina or high DPI displays, you will immediately notice the new double resolution icons. These provide a crisp, perfect look on these displays, and once you get used to that, you are wondering how you managed to use the old icons before. We have here an old image of the icons, which is a little zoomed in, so you can see the difference between the two sets of icons. Some people prefer a dark color theme, and we introduced the optional graphite color theme, so you can switch to this, and all colors are changed to provide a light color on a dark background. But not only the colors are changed, also the icons change to specifically tuned dark versions. This was really a huge amount of work because each icon is designed in 4 variants. A normal size, and we revised all existing icons. Then we have a normal size for a dark theme, double size for the normal theme, and double size for the dark theme. So 4 variants for each icon. And the Retina and dark colors support is available also in the outer visual mode. For icons or images, the double resolution variants are found automatically based on naming conventions. If you have a 2x suffix, that marks an image as a double resolution image. The dark theme information is available also to the CSS engine using media rules. So you can add rules in the CSS that will match if the current theme is a dark one, so you can provide also the appropriate colors for rendering in the outer mode in case of a dark theme. Toolbars are now configurable down to the action level, so you can organize your working area to match exactly your needs or your project needs. So basically, if we go to oXygen and we right click here, so to get a contextual menu, we have these configure toolbars where you can see each toolbar has a visual preview, and you can add or disable icons, enable them, and also add any action to any toolbar or remove actions from any toolbar. Right, so you can configure the user interface exactly as you like. And you also have this My Toolbar, which is empty, where you can place your favorite actions. We also have we'll cover the new user interface in a webinar schedule for next week, May 20th, that focuses on user interface improvements. But it will also show not only features, but it will show a number of use cases where you can take advantage of this functionality to provide a customized environment and deploy that to and share that with your team. So it's not just a review of user interface related functionality. So moving along, oXygen has a very powerful CSS rendering engine that is used by the author visual editing mode. And developing CSS is not difficult, but when we have multiple CSS files and more rules matching the same node, it may become difficult to understand why something is rendered in a specific way. So in oXygen 17, you can immediately see what rules matched an element, as well as where each rule comes from, and just follow a link to open the CSS file defining those rules. This is made possible by the new CSS inspector view. So if we go to oXygen and let's say we open a topic, we can select from the contextual menu inspect styles, and then the CSS inspector view will show us the style for this topic title element, right? So you can see also that a rule was overwritten. So this rule was actually for the font family is overwritten by this rule here. And if you click on this link, it will get you exactly in the CSS file where that property is specified. There are a number of additional styling languages built on top of CSS to bring more power and the more flexible way of writing the CSS rules. In oXygen 17 we support less, and you can use that either directly pointing to a less file, or you can compile less to CSS and use the generated CSS file. I used less to develop a number of styles that we are using in oXygen 17 because it enables to write in a more declarative way. And the less can be compiled to CSS automatically when you save the less file. This is one of my favorite topics, guided XML authoring. When we talked earlier about quick fixes, I mentioned guided XML authoring. And one problem that we try to address is to allow creating user interfaces that communicate to the user. And user-friendly error messages and the help provided by the quick fixes to correct those errors are great. But there is more we can do trying to avoid getting into an error situation in the first place. And the CSS improvements added to version 17 make it easy to bring information to the user directly within the document. And we implemented this for DITA and for a couple of other XML languages in the form of hints and inline actions. And I will show you a couple of examples to see what I mean. I included also in the slides that will be made available after the webinar a couple of screenshots, but now we can actually see them live in oXygen. So let me close some of these. So this is a strategy markup language plan document, and you know, this is a new document, let's say, and it gives me some information, but it's not very clear what this represents and what I can do further in this document. So if we enable these hints from the styles dropdown, if we enable this hints option here, let me put this away, then we can see that we get hints directly within the document. this tell me what I should enter and what these elements represent and what I should enter there. Right. If we enable also these actions, then we see these placeholders here for the markup that can be inserted exactly in that position in the document. So now I can discover that I can enter a description for this. So if I click on that, I get a description element inserted, and also I get the hint that tells me what information I should enter within this description, and so on. If I press on the organization action, inline action, I get an organization entered with the required content, and then I can set a name, a description, and so on. Here we have a Saxon configuration file. So now this is an empty file. It doesn't really help us a lot to know what we can set within this configuration file. If we switch this to the author mode, then we can see drop down for the edition, so we can select possible values. And then if we click, for instance, on the global options, then we get all this information. And if we click on the information icon, we get a description of what this allow external functions option represents. And here we have two values, true or false, right? So we can say true. If you look in the text of the document, basically everything is done from the CSS rendering. The document only contains this allow external functions equals true because we added that, but otherwise, you know, it may contain an empty global element. And when we move to the author, we see all possible attributes basically that can be set here, and also we can trigger on or off the hint that tells us what this information actually represents. The same with the DITA task, right? So we have an empty task, basically the basic structure of a task. If we enable hints, we have a lot more information on what these elements actually represents and what we are expected to enter within those elements, right? And then you can decide to see inline actions, and then the entire content model is visible now, and I can decide that, you know, I may want a prerequisite section, I may want a result at the end, a post-requisite, and so on. If I want to insert a note, I can see that that is available before the command. You know, people may try to find to insert a note after the command, and so when you are not familiar with the content model, it may be difficult. And you can turn this off whenever you don't need them. If you are very familiar with the DITA task, then you know, you may not realize how important is that unless you open, let's say, a troubleshooting topic, and now you don't know, assuming you never used troubleshooting topics before, you don't know what you should enter here. But if we enable inline actions, then immediately we see that we can have title alternatives followed by short description and abstract, optional prologue, troubleshooting body, relating links, and another task. So if we enter short description, title and alternative stays before that. Troubleshooting body, we see that we have a condition, multiple trouble solutions, cause remedy, so we can enter another one, a cause remedy. For the remedy we have title, responsible party, steps, or steps unordered or steps informal is required, so we have this different background suggesting that this element is required, and so on. So we can build the structure of the document, we can place the hint information, so then we know what the solution is meant for and what cause and remedy are used for, and what we are expected to enter in those documents. So that's part of what I consider guided XML authoring. And this type of user interface is made possible using new functionality that we developed in oXygen 17. We have a new form control that presents HTML content. This allows to keep formatted content in HTML and display that as static content within the document. And we use that for the hints layer, where we have descriptions for different elements inside an HTML file, and we just bring that in line within the document using this Oxy HTML content form control. And the inline actions use two new additions in oXygen 17 CSS support. One is the possibility to specify custom actions directly within the CSS rather than defining them in the framework configuration, and support for defining any number of before and after pseudo elements. So you can use before 10, before 15, before 1000, or after 1000, and so on. And this allows to combine different sections of static content in a very simple way, keeping each separate from each other, so they will not interact with the other before or after layers. That makes possible to so we use different layers for different type of static content, and we place them, so then when you can enable both hints and inline actions, and they will not interfere with each other. Of course, this functionality may have many other use cases, but I think this use for implementing guided XML authoring is one important use case. And probably you may probably notice that these hints and inline action styles for DITA are enabled or disabled independent of each other. So this functionality is also new in oXygen 17, because before that, by default, we had main and alternate styles, and when you selected an alternate style, that was used instead of a main CSS style. But with the switch at the framework configuration level, we allow to make these additional styles work in addition to the selected main style. Without this functionality, if you wanted to provide, let's say, 2 main styles and 4 alternate options independent of each other, then you had to have 32 CSS files, and the user would have been presented with 32 entries to select the desired style. And this is a very simple example, because for DITA, if you look at the styles drop down here, we have 9 main styles and 8 alternate styles that can be on-off, so there are 2 at power 8 possibilities. So if we multiply that by 9, we get 2,304 different ways to view a DITA topic, all available from this styles drop-down. So it's a very easy way to select the view that you actually want. DITA support received a lot of attention in version 17. Almost all new CSS additions were applied to the DITA framework. We went through a review of each DITA element, revising the CSS rules used for rendering, and I hope you will agree that DITA topics and maps look great now in the outer mode. So along with the 2,000 plus ways to see a topic, you may also notice the responsive behavior when the width of a topic is larger, then a page border is displayed, taking advantage of the media queries, checking for the min width property, and these media queries allow you to also provide specific style for different oXygen version distributions and different operating systems, so using the platform and the OS properties. So just to see what I want to say, let's say this and maybe open again a nicer topic. So along with these alternate styles, right, that we can enable either inline actions, hints, if we want to see syntax highlights, highlighted code blocks, we can enable that. But you also have, if you want to see a trip journal style, you will notice the change of the font here. And if we double click, now you see the responsive part where we get this page layout. So at some point this disappears and the document goes full width, but then if the width is larger, we get this page layout. So we have different styles that should match your preference. And just for comparing, this is the old way. So that was basically the so without this. So this was how oXygen 16 presented topics, and that was more or less the only way to view a topic, while now you have all these different styles that you can choose from, and choose the one that you like. On the publishing side, oXygen supports DITA Open Toolkit 2.0 and 2.1, I think. So you can experiment with the latest DITA OT version. We still ship with oXygen version 1.8 because most of the DITA OT plugins were not yet updated to work with DITA OT 2.0. And because you can easily work with you can easily develop CSS in oXygen now using LESS or the CSS inspector view, and we also provide an open source DITA Open Toolkit plugin called DITA CSS that uses available on GitHub that you can use to publish PDF using CSS. This requires Prince XML formatting engine, which is not included in oXygen. But we integrated the CSS selection in the author, in oXygen author, with this transformation type to allow you to quickly obtain a PDF from DITA using exactly the same CSS styles used in oXygen. So you get a more direct path to PDF output. You change the CSS style and see the changes in author and just publish to get those changes to PDF. So let's say we have this map here and we use this DITA map PDF. What you see is what you get like experimental transformation, and then if we apply the transformation, we should get a PDF that looks similar to this. So you can see, for instance, the same fonts are used for titles. And now let's switch to the trip journal, for instance. So the font will change, and we can use also the let's say the CSS inspector. And we can identify the color of the font of the title. So now here let's put a red color. If we go here, you see that the title is red, and now we just trigger the transformation. And we should get this font and the red color that we set for the titles. So it makes very easy to customize the PDF output if you use this transformation. There are more updates to the validation support for DITA, like identifying missing topics or images, identifying duplicate topic IDs in the same app, as well as an improved DITA metrics report that handles key references and presents an overview of all the external links. But all these will be part of a DITA webinar scheduled for next month. So we will have the dedicated webinar to cover DITA support in June 10, called oXygen XML Editor 17 DITA support. Missing 17 here, sorry. So let's move along and talk a little about the web help output. oXygen provides web help transformations from DITA and from DocBook. The oXygen user guide is published using the DITA to web help transformation, and in oXygen 17, that is also the default help format. You can notice under help here we have this use online help option. So if you disable that, we still have an offline version of the help. But otherwise, you know, if you just invoke the help, that will get you online, and you will see the contextual help related. For instance, now I was in the visual editing mode, so I get this tagless XML authoring topic as the help topic. So the web help output received a number of improvements, including optimizations to quickly load pages, the possibility to easily embed it in another page, support for context-sensitive help by generating a mapping file between topic IDs and HTML pages, search engine optimization support by generating a sitemap file, support for right to left scripts, and improved Japanese search support. I think we will cover this also in the DITA specific webinar in more detail. Other useful additions in 17. So a nice touch on the XML development side is the format and indent support for XQuery and embedded XPath in XSLT, XML schema, or Schematron. You can turn a data topic into slides directly in the oXygen author. Markus Wiedemeyer presented this idea a couple of 1 year ago, I think, or so, using custom CSS classes. But now with the support for inline actions and the support for CSS position, so you can have absolute position, fixed position, and so on. We can use that to place, to just point to a CSS, and that will place navigation buttons and hide dynamically parts of the document, traversing then the document in order and showing each topic to the user as well as the path to the root, and I can quickly show you how that works. For example, I use this in my XML product presentation. So as you can see, one of the additional layers here is presentation mode. So otherwise this is a normal DITA topic with the embedded topics. So when I enable in the outer mode, when I enable the presentation mode, then I get these buttons here that allow me to start the presentation from this point. And when I click on this, I get these navigation icons. I can stop the presentation and I can move through different topics. So I get the title. I get the title of the current topic, its content, the title of the parent topic, and the main topic title, which is moved here using CSS position support. And also these actions stay here even if the topic is larger. And an interesting part is, like, you know, you have this code block. So we start the presentation here. We can choose to see syntax highlighting, rendering for that code block, and we get this here, right? So, and we can also choose to see this in a different style, let's say century style. So the presentation changes automatically. So I think it's a quite interesting use of and shows the power of the new CSS support that we have in oXygen. Another interesting and useful addition is that the parameters of any DITA-OT transformation type will be discovered automatically if that transformation type plugin has annotations for those parameters. So oXygen will automatically present the right parameters for each transformation type. Also, when you try to find one or two or more words, the support that we have now ignores the white space. So if you have a new line between those words, oXygen will be able to find that content in the document. That's quite useful when you find replacing files, because we already supported that on a single file. So now that functionality was extended to work also when you search across a set of files. I don't know if I have time to demonstrate this to you, this dynamic content conversion. We presented that also at the DITA North America conference last month. Basically, by referring a file through a URL, you can get content converted automatically from one format to another. And we have such dynamic conversions for converting from Excel, Markdown, Java, Java-Do, Google Sheets, comma-separated values to DITA, as well from a custom format to SVG. I'm not sure how we are with the time. So I don't have time to go through all this. On the SDK part, we have many extension points, a new JavaScript operation that allows to define custom actions using JavaScript, and the web app SDK was updated to be not only mobile friendly, but now it's both desktop friendly and mobile friendly. It has actually an adaptive user interface, and it brings also a toolbar with actions, contextual menu, and support for defining your own actions. Let me see if we can quickly see how that looks like. So the same Snowdrop topic that we opened in the desktop version, you can see that in the web app. So now we are in Firefox, and if we you can see things, the toolbar changes. Here we have the review panel, attributes, find and replace. We can remove this part. So the user interface changes automatically, the logo and so on, to match the page size. And as I said, it's also mobile friendly and desktop friendly in the same time. But we will cover also the SDK part, and especially the web author SDK in a webinar in June 17 called XML authoring on the web. We as usual, we try to keep oXygen updated, and therefore the components that we use or support are updated. In version 17, we include the latest version of Saxon XSLT, XQuery, and XML schema engines from Saxonica. XML Carabash, XPro processor are also updated. The latest DI schemas and style sheets. New framework for JATS, XLeaf, and ISO strategy markup language. Support for the latest existing MarLogic XML databases, and we also support Eclipse 4.5 for the Eclipse plugin distribution of oXygen. oXygen includes also on a Subversion client, so on that we have that also available as a separate product, which was released recently, and all those updates are also incorporated in oXygen 17. So here is a list of our next events for the following month or and a half or so, where along with the webinars that I mentioned related to version 17, I would like to highlight also the oXygen users meetup that we have in London, which is a free full-day event, a full-day mini conference with a lot of interesting sessions, and you can meet oXygen developers, some of our partners, as well as other oXygen users. So you are welcome to join us there, as well as to the XML London conference, which follows. So the oXygen users meetup is at the same location as XML London, UCL London, and it's the day before XML London, Friday, June 5th, and then it follows oXygen London with 2 days of interesting sessions where I will also present this dynamic data conversion through URLs. So thank you, and let's see if we can answer a few questions. I guess my colleagues already answered some of your questions, but let me try to get some other questions. So one question is, does Prince XML have index support? I'm not sure if Prince XML has or does not have index support, but the transformation that we have basically provides index information at the end. But I'm not sure if that is generated by our processing or is generated by Prince XML. So that's the part I don't know, but an index section is available at the end of the PDF. For the autocorrect feature, if I type open parenthesis C, close parenthesis, and really want the string rather the copyright symbol, can I press Ctrl Z undo to get rid of the copyright symbol and revert to what I typed? Exactly. Basically, this generates two undoable actions, and the first undo will revert to the actual content. On XML refactoring, can XML refactoring update the value of a particular attribute for a given element? I for sure, okay. Yes, of course, it depends on what parameters you set for those refactoring operations, right? So it depends on what they match exactly. Is there a way to include JavaScript code that draws on a canvas or drawing using SVG in a DITA project or a dogbook project? So we have this author operation that executes JavaScript, and that can access the Java-based API for the oXygen author API. but you cannot basically use a canvas because the JavaScript can implement the logic of the changes, but those changes are done through the Autor SDK to the Autor through the Autor API. So probably not. Do we have other questions? Okay, so feel free to contact me also directly. Another question just came in. Will one of the following web sessions talk more about adjusting the CSS in Autor mode? Well, we will schedule one. That's not the currently scheduled sessions, but we have a session at the oXygen users meetup in London where we cover exactly that part. But probably we will schedule another webinar to explain, for instance, how we created the hints or the inline actions and other CSS-based customizations. So this is the first webinar, as I said, and we hope that you will join us also for the others webinars from this series that cover the oXygen 17 functionality. So thank you for attending, and see you next time. Goodbye.